All right, I will go ahead and get started here. So hello everyone, and thanks for joining. You're here for today's demonstration of the Geonexus Integration Platform, configuring complex Esri and IBM Maximo integrations. My name's Katie Majewski, and I'm a marketing coordinator here at Geonexus, and I'm happy to be joined by Josh Swenson, VP of Revenue Operations, who I've brought on to help answer some of the questions you may be having after the end of the demonstration today. In recent conversations, we've had an increased request to show off the platform more, so what we're going to be doing is having our main focus on a recorded demonstration showing two different use cases utilizing the Geonexus Integration Platform. The first is going to be an asset swap of a transformer based on a specified location. The second is going to be work order creation from GIS into Maximo. So just one quick housekeeping note before we get started is if you have any questions throughout the demonstration, you should see a Q&A panel on the right-hand side of your user interface. We've carved a bit of time in the end to address any questions that come through, but if for some reason we don't get to everyone's questions during the live event, we'll be certain to follow up with you directly after. So before we dive into the demonstration, we always like to set a quick foundation of who we are for those of you who may not be familiar. So Geonexus is a software company, and really our main focus is on the simplification of integration. Geonexus redefines the traditional custom code approach to integration by providing a fully supported, easy to use, proven platform for system integration that not only simplifies the configuration, but management of your integration throughout its entire lifetime. We do this all through a low-code, no-code approach, which allows integration to then become more of a mapping than a coding exercise for end users, and additionally allows organizations true flexibility in planning for future integrations as well. So there's really three main steps or components to the Geonexus Integration Platform, and you can see them in the icons on the screen above. So the first is simplified configuration. We provide an easy to navigate user interface to streamline configuration setup and management, again, of the integration throughout its entire lifetime. The second is automated synchronization. So once the configuration is complete, we help you automate your processes by allowing you to schedule your synchronization on a specified basis. This can be nightly, weekly, etc. But this will continue to help you streamline your processes and ensure data integrity along the way. We can do this bidirectionally as well if you would like. The last is active reporting. So once you've configured everything and have your synchronization running, we provide in-depth reports to see that everything has run as intended. Akshita will show you reporting more in depth as part of her demonstration, but some of the benefits reporting can provide are detailed descriptions of any errors, orphans, discrepancies, and more that may have occurred. How we simplify integration even further is through our library of pre-built connectors you can see on the screen below. Each one of these connectors understands the unique business logic of each system and are constantly upgraded to allow you to take advantage of the latest and greatest system features with no fears of system version lock or downtime. So some of our customer examples can be found here, all of which have customer case studies that can be found on our website and will be linked in the follow-up email as well. So now that you've heard a little bit about Geonexus, we'll dive right into the demonstration.
Thank you. Today we are going to see quick two demos. One is with the asset swap, with mainly the electric distribution of transformers. So as we all know, we see that the transformer or any asset for that matter needs to be replaced, maybe due to its age or maybe it's far from repair now. So we usually replace it with a new transformer. So during this replacement, when you do that change, there are a lot of things that move around. So in order to maintain that very easily, we have something called linking in our integration platform that uses unique IDs in both the systems. So here between GIS and Maximo. So GIP will handle the asset swaps automatically for you using the linking functionality. For us, linking functionality is more like an alternative key other than the one that we are synchronizing with. And we'll see upon asset swaps how the data is moved, and we'll look at both the systems. So that is our first scenario. And the second scenario is there's a work order marked on a map in Esri, and we will bring over that work order to our Maximo. So that's just an overview of the two scenarios we are going to go over today. And so here I have organized the two different scenarios into two projects just for the ease, but they can live under the same projects. So first, for GIP, in order to communicate, it needs establishment of connection. So on Esri side, we can support geodatabase or any of the services. So enterprise service online, and we also support ArcGIS SQL workspace, which is more like a read-only source. So for this demo, in the first scenario, I have a geodatabase connection. So it just takes in all the basic information similar to what we use in our ArcMap. The instance, the database, username, and password, we can synchronize to any of the versions. So if you click on the drop down, you can get all the list of the versions and you can pick the one that you want. So you can choose from the version that you want to synchronize with. There's a validate button that helps you validate your connectivity. If there are any errors or warnings, it would show you on that screen. So this is about the geodatabase connection. For Maximo, here I'm using one of our internal host in Maximo using Max authentication here, but we also support API key and other authentication protocol, WebSphere. If you also have different REST and OSLC endpoints, those are configurable here as well. Talk about value lists a little later when we see them in our mappings. So our data sets are more like containers for certain operation. So they are divided into data sources. They are the sources of data. We categorize them depending upon the type of asset, or say a layer or a table. Feature class in this case, but it can be a table as well. So for my demonstration, I have a transformer feature class here, and I have a unique ID field, which is MX location. And then I'm just for the demo filtering just a subset of records. So, but you can use this where clause to filter depending upon your status or a date or any other field. And then if we go to the Maximo data source, here I'm using the transformer classification. And again, just for the demo, I'm filtering certain transformers here. So on the data set level, we have something known as foreign keys. This is unique to both the data sources, and it's a unique ID. This is the one that we link on for our synchronization. So it's like a match from source to target, and we want that to be unique. So the whenever we extract, we match on this foreign key. If there are orphans on either source or target, they'll be listed in our reporting. If you do have created rules configured and you do have an orphan on one side, you can create them on the other system. Um, for this demo, I have just configured for the asset swaps. And as this is our main key, if you look at linking, what we do here is when we do asset swaps, we know that the location is going to be the same. So it is our unique ID, which we link on. So our primary linking is on the asset number, but our secondary on the swap of the assets, we look at the MX location or the location key. So that helps us establish that link and propagate any changes, updates to the other systems. So if you see on our linking rules, I am propagating if there is on the asset swap, if there is any change in the KVAR rating, in the type of the transformer or the manufacturer, I am propagating that to the target system. So here the target is GIS. We'll go to Maximo system, we'll do the asset swap, look at the GIS data, run GIP, and then look at the reporting and see how the data has been moved over and updated. Let me quickly open the Maximo. So for the Maximo system, I'm just going to do a asset swap. So if we go here, I'm going to swap this out with another asset. Um, so replaced it with an existing location. So if you see now, it is 218427. I did the asset swap, but the location is the same because we have an alternative key linked in the linking configuration. It would link is on this key, and asset num, this is our primary key. But because we swapped, this is not going to match anymore. It's been retired and you cannot see it. So what you would be now looking for is the location. I quickly just want to go over the mapped items. If you look in the specification, we have a 25 on KVAR, manufacturer is Rockwell Automation, and type is overhead. So this is the information we would look forward to come through when we run GIP. I quickly want to go to GIS. So these are the three transformers that I have filtered using the object IDs just for the demo. And these are the ones that were swapped out. We'll see the change in the manufacturer. If you see all are 25 here, so that will not be updated. And then all our overhead, so that will remain the same. But manufacturer is null, so that will be brought over. Um, I'm going to run the synchronization. So this is more like a view where you'll see how GIP is progressing. It helps you give a picture of what happened. This is also being stored as part of an XML and PDF report that we'll look into shortly. I was going to talk about value list, but I forgot. So we use value lists whenever there's a translation we need to do. Say we all know that each system has its own way of storing data, so they'll have domain backed lists. We are seeing it more and more in UN, where asset groups, asset types, domain networks, everything is domain backed. But in our Maximo, it may not be the same way. So if we need to do any translations, we can use value lists to go from value utility to a domain backed one, or we can use a SQL query. So you can pull all your translations from values into values through a SQL query, and those could be mapped in your rules. So we can quickly look at the reports. So report gives you everything that happened during the synchronization. If there are any orphans in any of the systems, so orphan, we are seeing the orphan because we used filters. I just wanted to show if it is only in one system and we don't have creates, how it looks, and then it'll show you the link that it established. So we used an alternative link. So it'll show you the old value, the new value, and the link that it matched on when we are doing the linking. And then if there are any creates, it would show under creates. We now only have updates, so we'll look into that. If we had any errors or warnings, it would be listed here. And all this can be sent as an email as part of synchronization. It's all configurable. So it could be sent out to a group or a person. Quickly look at the updates. So as you can see, the old value was null and the new value is Rockwell automation. The other two fields that we had mapped specifications, they were the same values in both the systems, GIS and Maximo. So we'll not see an update there. And we do have sections like discrepancies, duplicates. So discrepancies is where if you have error, it would show you what it would be if there was a insert. And then duplicates is if there are any duplicates in the system. So on your key field, we don't expect it to be any duplicates, but because we usually want to synchronize on unique IDs, right? But there can be duplicates, so it'll help you identify them and give you information about that. So this was our first scenario. Let's quickly look into the GIS system. I'm just going to refresh this. So if you can see now our manufacturer is being updated in the service point we were looking at for the transformer to Rockwell automation. That was due to the link that we established on the transformer on the asset swap. So that's our first scenario. And then I'll quickly go over our second scenario of the work orders. So for our next demonstration, we are going to look at an ArcGIS online connection. So one of our services hosted here, and then same Maximo connection, but on a different server. And then if you look here for services, this is similar for our enterprise connection as well. So for our UN, it would be similar. So you would pick your feature server or map server, and then you would pick your layer. If you want to, asset group and asset types are optional. So if you want to pick them, you can. If not, you can leave them, and then you can have your unique ID here. And then if you are synchronizing for multiple asset groups or multiple asset types, you could also club them up in your where clause. Just a note, while we are here, we do support branch versioning. GIP has the functionality to create a new version, reconcile and post, and delete the version after doing all the processing. And these are optional. So if you already have a version, you can just pick that. You can keep synchronizing to that. If you want a new version for each synchronization, you can create a particular version and delete after you reconcile and post. And some of them just want us to write to a version and they do the reconcile and post. So that's an optional feature too. So if you do have any dirty areas, it would show you in your reporting when we're talking about the utility network. And we also support related associated on the services side and related and connected on the geodatabase side. Quickly for the Maximo REST data source. Here we are synchronizing with a work order entity, and I'm specifically filtering with the statuses which are in progress. And then here, what I'm doing is I'm doing the creates from Esri, our layer that we were seeing, into the Maximo with all the information about the location reported by and description. So let me quickly run this. So if you look here, there was a creative work order and all the data that we moved over. So for creates, it shows you the values, and for update, it shows you the old and new value. So that is quickly about creating work orders in Maximo from GIS. So just to add to that, I just wanted to, because I was specifically working on these two scenarios, or the creates and the linking updates, but we can configure it to do any updates, deletes, orphan, or any replacements that occur in the EIM or GIS systems. So we can propagate bidirectionally all the information from GIS to Maximo using these different types of rules. And also we do have if you look here, we do have new mode that is near real time, that would do only synchronization between the new records, wouldn't extract all of them. So if you want a quick synchronization of your critical assets, you could run GIP in near real time mode for Esri and Maximo. So what the plus is, if you have millions of transformers, you won't want them to be synchronized. So we recommend running the full synchronization, say weekly, but running in near real-time mode frequently. That way all your assets are synchronized with the new any updates, any creates, because it's looking only for the change depending upon your editor tracking dates in Esri. So it'll look at that. If there is any change in that particular field, it'll pick up that change and propagate to your Maximo. Or in the Maximo as well, you'll have a date field. It'll pick anything and then bring it over. If you run it in full synchronization mode, it's going to extract all of them. It's going to give you all the orphans from each side. It's going to tell you all the discrepancies. So if there's anything on your map that is very critical, you need to know it in, say, couple hours. So such assets we recommend running in near real-time mode so that you have your data synchronized in almost near real time, right? And then for all others, our customers run them nightly. So the synchronization runs overnight. You can schedule this. For the demo, I did it from the UI, but once you have it all configured, you can schedule it to run on nightly as a scheduler. And if you can choose to get an email notification if there's any errors or failures. So you can configure all that here. You can add like a group of people, and you can select if it is on success, failure, warnings, errors, only then send a report. If you need a PDF or XML, so all those can be configured when you have it run in the scheduled mode. And then you can go in and check if there are any errors or warnings. Um, yeah, yeah, that's mostly from me. Thank you.
Alrighty, so now we'll open it up for questions. I know we're a little bit against time here, but again, just as a reminder, I've brought in my colleague Josh Swenson to answer some of the questions you may be having. Um, while I give you time to kind of type in your questions and such, I wanted to mention that we're going to be hosting these monthly. And they're really to try to dive into some of the specific use cases we hear requested. So please feel free to recommend any topics in the chat, or we have a survey after the demonstration. If you don't want to type that in the chat, you can go ahead and put that there. But we're always open to any recommendations of topics that you might want to see, or even specific connectors that you might want highlighted in future demonstrations. So it looks like we actually have one question. So I'm gonna pass that off to Josh and let him handle that.
Excellent. Thanks, Katie. Hopefully you can hear me okay. So the question that was offered was to write data on the Maximo side. Does Geonexus leverage the Maximo spatial module at all, or is it through APIs or object structures? And the answer is it's through APIs. So specific to Maximo spatial, we understand, as most folks do around Maximo spatial, there's kind of two components, right? There's the integration piece, which is data sync, and then there's the visualization piece, which is MapTab. And the best way to think about Geonexus is as a replacement or more robust option around the integration piece. We do work with the map tab. We can empower that map tab. But to the specific question, we do that through, our software's connection to Maximo directly through Maximo APIs. So hopefully that answers the questions and gives a little bit more understanding of kind of how we work with Maximo and how we relate to Maximo Spatial as well. I don't see any more. Let me just come through real quick for other questions, but this is what's the main purpose of the Geonexus software? It's really to simplify integration. So this is a question that came in, right? So integrations today are typically built by writing scripts, and there's the initial setup of an integration, and then there's the ongoing maintenance of an integration. Our goal is really to put the power into the user's hand to really set these up and manage them, with a no-code approach, right? So the tools that come within our software to write synchronization rules and then automate the synchronization, right? So our goal is to really reduce the cost and the scope of integration projects. And we know that that's now, more important than ever as more and more systems need to be connected. So that's the real purpose of Geonexus. And then last question as we run out of time here, is the meeting recording? Yes, the meeting is recorded today, and we will share a recording with you. So with that, I'll stop my questions here, or my answering of questions. And Katie, I'll let you say thank you and log off.
Yeah, so thank you so much everyone for joining. Again, if there's any topics that you wanted to recommend or have any additional questions, feel free to email myself or Josh directly. Again, there will also be a survey afterwards if you have any questions as well. So feel free to put those in there again, and I really appreciate all of your time, and we'll see you next time.